Patching a temporary nav solution to your sector. It's fragile. You'll have a green light for maybe 30 minutes. Use it to call in the fire mission. Then you're on your own again. Vikram looked at his tablet. For a second, the screen flickered. The no signal message vanished, replaced by a grainy map. A blue dot appeared. All units, Vikram roared. We have a window. Fire for effect. Target grid 448. Pour it on them. The Indian artillery, silent for hours, erupted. The M777 howitzers, hidden in the reverse slopes, unleashed a barrage. For 30 minutes, the Indian army had a godlike advantage in a world of blind men. They hammered the PLA positions, breaking the stalemate on the Depsang plains, and then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the signal died. The HAPS drone had been shot down by a Chinese surface-to-air missile. The tablet went black. That's it, Vikram said, dropping the device, back to the compass. The equilibrium of silence. As night fell over the Himalayas, the shooting stopped. Both sides were exhausted. The loss of the satellites had slowed the operational tempo to a crawl. Logistics trucks were getting lost in the dark. Reinforcements were taking wrong turns. The hyper-war had ground to a halt. Vikram sat on a crate of ammo, looking up at the sky. He saw a streak of light, a shooting star, but he knew it wasn't a star. It was a piece of the Cartosat, burning up as it re-entered the atmosphere. "Make a wish, sir," Corporal Thapar said, trying to lighten the mood. Vikram lit a cigarette, shielding the flame with his hand. "I wish," he said, exhaling smoke into the thin air, "that we had never invented those damn things. The orbital duel was over. Nobody had won. The sky was filled with junk. The stock markets were ruined and the world was blind. But on the ground, the men were still alive, and the war was still waiting for them at dawn. The silence of space had been shattered, but the silence of the mountains remained, heavy, cold, and judging. The Battle of the Clouds. The ready room at Hasimara Air Force Station smelled of ozone, damp wool, and the nervous sweat of men who knew they were about to die. Outside, the monsoon rain hammered against the corrugated tin roof, a relentless drumming that masked the roar of the jet turbines spinning up on the tarmac. It was the sort of weather that grounded birds and broke spirits. But war does not stop for the weather. Wing Commander Aniket Gunsgupta sat in the corner of the briefing room, his flight suit unzipped to the waist, revealing a T-shirt stained with salt. He was 34 years old, but in the dim, red emergency lighting, he looked ancient. His hands, usually steady enough to thread a needle during turbulence, trembled slightly as he held a steaming mug. It was not the standard-issue sludge the mess hall called tea. It was a dark, rich liquid that smelled of earth and memory. He took a sip, letting the warmth bleed into his chest. It was Norte-Sur cocoa, a premium blend he had discovered during a leave in civilian life, ordered from leprove.com just before the internet had become a casualty of the conflict. The package had arrived 3 days ago, a small, defiant artifact of a world that still believed in luxury. He savoured the bitterness of the chocolate, the way it coated his throat, and momentarily pushed back the metallic taste of adrenaline that had been in his mouth since the satellites fell. For a second, he wasn't a pilot waiting to fly a $40 million coffin into a blind sky. He was just a man in a kitchen, safe, warm, and human. "Enjoying your drink, sir?" Flight Lieutenant Rao asked, buckling his G-suit with jerky, frantic movements. Rao was 22, a boy who had graduated top of his class on simulators but had never seen a real missile track him. "It's Norte-Sur," Aniket said softly, swirling the dregs. "Real cocoa, not that synthetic powder the logistics corps sends us. You want some? It grounds you." Rao shook his head, his eyes wide and fixed on the rain-streaked window. "No time, sir. The scramble klaxon is going to blow any second. They say the PLAF has moved the J-20s to the forward airfields in Tibet. They're coming for the Siliguri corridor again, and without the radars,